So I think simply this is just a question of something becoming impossible not to reveal.
Team McKenzie in Seoul, and China has now offered North Korea help to deal with the COVID outbreak. And Jerry has some other stories from our news desk.
A prominent Turkish defense analyst and opposition party co-founder charged with espionage has walked free from an Ankara prison. The release of Metin Gürkan, one of the founders of the Democracy and Progress Party, was ordered by a Turkish court. He was arrested at his Istanbul home in November after being accused of passing on classified information to foreign diplomats. He's denied the charges. If convicted, Mr. Gürkan would have faced more than 30 years in jail. 2 senior police officers and a policeman have been killed in the south of Egypt while giving chase to a wanted fraudster. Security services said 2 generals and a private were travelling on a desert motorway when their vehicle rolled over. The fraudster, a moped taxi driver named Mustafa Al-Bank, had collected millions of dollars after persuading farmers to sell him herds of cattle at a high price, promising to pay them 3 weeks later. When the farmers learned that he was on the run, they surrounded his house before police eventually arrested him. The Chinese government has announced that it will restrict all non-essential overseas travel for its citizens to try to control COVID. There will also be limits placed on the issue of new passports. Most Chinese travellers, like others across the world, stopped going abroad during the pandemic. In 2019, more than 150 million of them went overseas. That number fell to just 20 million the following year when COVID started.
The question of whether to repatriate antiquities is increasingly at the top of the agenda for museums around the world. This week, the Cambodian government is demanding the UK help to recover its looted treasures. They're asking the British Museum and Victoria and Albert Museum, both in London, how they acquired some of their Cambodian or Khmer artifacts. Asiya Hashim reports. I'm following a man with a code name, Red Horse, through Cambodian jungle thick with bamboo. He's leading me towards an 11th century ruin. This former Khmer Rouge child soldier used to loot temples, stealing statues to sell. He's now a government witness. This is the exact location, Red Horse says. We dug and lifted it out, 2 people on each side. Then we used a stretcher and headed that way. Cambodian investigators have carefully traced that statue's journey. They're confident it's now in the British Museum. They've been building up a catalogue of stolen statues by using newly discovered records and matching them to left-behind fragments. We're traveling along bumpy roads to a temple complex that was once Cambodia's biggest and, by some accounts, most impressive, Priya Khan Kamphangspai. There, we meet another former looter, codename Iron Princess. Sometimes we use axes to remove the stone to look for statues. As well as gold, we looked for everything that had value and took whatever we could find. Teams worked around the clock through the 1990s, taking out what they could. Many of the objects from this looting network were funneled through a British art dealer, Douglas Lashford. Objects which are now in museums and private collections around the world, from Sydney to San Francisco. Here he is in 2014, denying any wrongdoing.
They've seen too many Indiana Jones films. As far as I know, there is no such thing as a smuggling network.
But in 2019, he was the subject of a U.S. indictment detailing alleged crimes from smuggling to selling stolen antiquities. He died the following year, before any trial. This week, Cambodia's Minister of Culture, Khun Sakuna, wrote to her British counterpart, Nadine Dorries, demanding help to return looted Khmer treasures.
It's very, very important for us, for our nation, because it is our history, our identity. The statue is living soul. It is our spirit. We don't consider them like stone or metal. We consider them like living God.
Many Cambodians worry their gods are cold and lonely in foreign collections. They want them to come home. Celia Hatton defeated, and the main news this hour, Finland's leaders say their country must join NATO without delay following Russian invasion of Ukraine. Much more from that developing story on our website, bbc.com/news. That's it for this edition of the newsroom. To listen.
Please stay with us if you can here on the BBC World Service. In 30 minutes, Anna Holland will be here with news at
Finland announced its plans to join NATO. The Kremlin warns of consequences and the struggle to repatriate Cambodia's looted treasures.
The inquiry considers whether abortion will be banned in America.
For the last 3+ years, abortion has been central in every Supreme Court nomination. And as we know, the Supreme Court votes now very that's relatively recent phenomenon.
And the food chain looks at our dependency on wheat.
Grains is a very easily tradable commodity. You can store it very easily, you can measure it nicely, and it has a lot of calories. So it's really one of the key food commodities that we talk about.
Or go to bbcworldservice.com/food chain.
I'm navigating temple ruins in central Cambodia. Welcome to Assignment on the BBC World Service. I'm Celia Hatton, and I'm looking into the illegal trade of looted statues. For Cambodians, these aren't just pieces of stone, they're living spirits. Many of them were removed in recent decades, ending up in foreign museums. Cambodia wants the return of its gods. That's Assignment after the news.
BBC News with Joey Smith. The President and the Prime Minister of Finland have said their country must apply for membership of NATO without delay. Russia and Ukraine also to reassess its traditionally neutral stance. Finland is expected to formally announce its decision next week. Moscow has reacted angrily, saying Finland's entry poses a direct threat to Russia. The Secretary General of NATO, Jens Stoltenberg, has welcomed Finland's announcement. The accession process will be smooth and swift. The Council, Charles Michel, called Finland's move a historic step. The UN Human Rights Council has been holding an emergency session in Geneva to examine evidence of violations in Ukraine. The High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michel, said 1,000 bodies have been recovered in areas north of the capital Kyiv in recent weeks. The White House has announced that the United States has passed more than 1 million deaths from the coronavirus. It's the highest official total in the world. The World Health Organization believes the true number may be higher in other countries. A Sri Lankan court has banned the former Prime Minister, Mahinda Rajapaksa, his son, and 15 of their allies from leaving the country. Mr. Rajapaksa resigned on Monday. A BBC investigation has uncovered a global network of Nigerian separatists using social media to spread false information. The separatists threatened to impose Biafran independence and to see southeast Nigeria break away from the rest of the country. A Nepali woman, Lakshmi Sharma, has climbed Mount Everest for the 10th time, breaking her own record for the most summits of the world's highest mountain by a female climber. She said she wanted to inspire young people. BBC News.
I'm following the former Khmer Rouge Chinese soldier. Now, an 11th century country where he's got stories to tell. I feel like we've walked into just a few years. I feel like we're out of a scene from Tomb Raider or the Raiders of the Lost Ark. We're just among these temple ruins, and we've just stumbled across a beautifully carved piece of stone. think is the base of another statue. It looks like the feet of what probably a lion at some point. Like so many others across Cambodia, this temple has been empty. Its statues packed to
We're
death.
here
with the team that is looking for evidence of stolen. Our guy has a code. He used to work again, YouTube sold off ancient statues. Now he's a government. Just a man. Inside here, this thing. This is what you see.
We stopping water there, you see.
Inside there.
Thanks for watching. Bye.
We're leaping through photographs to steal some their objects.